Good evening, traveler. Before we begin, take a moment. Breathe in deeply and breathe out slowly. Tell me, softly, where are you listening from tonight? From a quiet little town where the windows glow faintly in the night? From a countryside home where the crickets sing outside your window? Or perhaps from a city where the hum of cars and lights feels like a man-made constellation? Wherever you are, I'm so glad you're here. Tonight, we'll drift far, far back in time, to a world of stone and stars, to the heart of ancient Babylon, where the air shimmered with desert heat by day and dreams by night. This is a story about a little star, a star that once fell from the heavens, not in anger, but in love. A story to calm your heart, to quiet your mind, and to guide you softly toward sleep. So close your eyes for a moment and imagine. The desert night stretches endless, like a velvet ocean of blue. The sands of Mesopotamia glow silver beneath the moon, and rising from the horizon, shimmering with torchlight and gold, stands the great city of Babylon, a place of gardens and rivers, of towers and temples, of whispers and wonders. The air is warm but gentle, scented with palm resin and date wine. You can hear the slow murmur of the Euphrates River winding its way through the heart of the city. And above, the heavens blaze, not with a few faint stars, but with thousands, bright and alive, hanging low enough to almost touch. For the Babylonians, the sky was not just a ceiling, it was a living map. Each star, each glimmer had a purpose. Some guided the farmers when to sow their crops. Some told the priests when to sing their hymns. And some, the brightest ones, were said to be the eyes of the gods themselves, watching, dreaming, remembering. But one star was different. It was small, smaller than most, and its light flickered in a shy, uncertain way. It didn't have a name, for no priest had yet noticed it. The others teased it gently, calling it the Wanderer, because it always seemed to drift away from its place in the sky, as if searching for something. Each night, as the grand stars of Babylon watched over their people, the little star gazed downward. It watched the glowing torches along the riverbanks, the reflection of light in the water, the laughter of people in the streets. And every night it whispered softly to itself, "How beautiful the world looks from here! I wish I could feel it." Of course, stars were not meant to fall. They were made to burn high above, eternal and distant. But longing is a quiet magic, and the little star's longing grew brighter each night, until one evening, when the moon rose full and golden, it happened. The sky trembled. The other stars gasped, their light rippling like waves. And the little star, trembling with wonder and fear, slipped from its place in the heavens. Down it fell, through clouds and silence, through the breath of the night itself, until it touched the edge of the world. There was no thunder, no fire, just a soft, glowing sigh, as if the earth welcomed it home. When morning came, a young shepherd boy named Amar was walking by the river. He was no one important, just a quiet soul who spoke more to his sheep than to people. He loved the way the world sounded before the city woke, the distant splash of fish, the murmur of reeds, the far-off hum of bells. That morning, as he led his flock toward the grazing fields, something caught his eye near the water. A small round stone, no bigger than a date, glimmered faintly beneath the reeds. He bent down and lifted it carefully. It was warm, almost pulsing, as if alive. When he held it in his palm, it gave off a tiny light, soft and golden, like a candle hidden in glass. He smiled. "What are you, little one?" he whispered. The stone did not speak, but it shone brighter, as though answering in its own language. Amar tucked it gently into his tunic and carried it with him. Sometimes it flickered weakly, sometimes it glowed bright enough to light his whole face. He didn't understand what it was. He only knew that when he held it, he dreamed of warmth, of voices, of the stars themselves humming softly like a song. What Amar didn't know was that the stone was no stone at all. It was the little star of Babylon, resting, recovering, learning what it meant to feel. And it did feel. It felt the coolness of the river, the roughness of Amar's hands, the kindness in his voice. It felt the joy of being near a heart that cared. And for the first time, it wasn't lonely. Days passed, weeks turned into months. The boy and the star became companions of sorts, one silent, one full of questions. At night, Amar would talk to it as if it could listen. He told it about dreams he'd had, of traveling beyond Babylon, of seeing mountains and oceans, of finding a place where the sky began. And though the star could not speak, its glow always brightened when he spoke of dreams. One night, as Amar sat by his fire, he looked up and noticed a strange thing. A faint emptiness in the heavens, a missing sparkle among the constellations. He frowned softly. "A star is gone," he murmured. He didn't realize he was looking at the place where his little friend had once lived. Meanwhile, high above, the other stars whispered among themselves, "Where is the little wanderer?" Lost to the world below. But the moon, who sees everything, smiled quietly and said, "Not lost, just learning to shine in another way." Time flowed like the river. Amar grew older, and the star's light began to change. Some nights it was so bright that even his sheep grew still, as if listening. Travelers began to notice the glow from afar, a golden pulse by the river that shimmered like a flame without smoke. Rumors spread that a sacred light had descended upon Babylon, that a shepherd guarded it. Priests came, then scholars, then the curious. All were awed by the gentle radiance, but none could explain it. When the king himself heard the tale, he summoned Amar to the palace. Imagine it, the boy, dusty and nervous, walking through halls of polished lapis and gold. He knelt before the throne, clutching the glowing stone in both hands. The king leaned forward, his robes whispering like silk. "What is this light you bring?" he asked. Amar hesitated. "It's my friend," he said simply. "It listens when I speak." The courtiers laughed softly, but the king did not. He studied the light closely, how it pulsed like a heartbeat, how it flickered in rhythm with the boy's breath. Finally he said, "Then let it listen here, in the heart of Babylon." He ordered that the stone be placed atop the temple of Ishtar, where its light could shine for all to see. Amar agreed, though his heart ached. He knew the city needed its beauty more than he did. That night, as the star was set upon the temple's highest spire, something miraculous happened. The skies above Babylon blazed alive. Every constellation brightened, every planet gleamed. It was as if the heavens were welcoming their little wanderer home. From that night onward, the people of Babylon spoke of the little star, a blessing that came to earth and rose again to watch over the city sailors. Sailors navigating the Euphrates looked for its light. Lovers made wishes beneath it. And Ammar, now a man, would look up each evening and whisper, "Sleep well, my friend." And that, dear listener, is the quiet truth hidden beneath the grand stories of kings and towers and gardens. That even the smallest light, when guided by kindness, can become a beacon for the whole world. Now, as you rest, let your own thoughts settle like dust upon ancient stones. Imagine the warm wind of Babylon brushing your face, the sound of the river moving slowly under the moon, and far above the little star, soft, golden, steady, watching you the way it once watched its shepherd friend. You are safe here, wrapped in that same light. Let your breath slow, let your body grow heavy, and drift softly into the ancient dream, where stars still fall, not from sadness, but from love. Good night, traveler. May your dreams shine gently tonight, like the little star of Babylon. The winds of time never stop their wandering. Empires fade, rivers change their course, and cities become sand. But light always finds its way back. Long after the towers of Babylon had crumbled and the hanging gardens became only whispers in old songs, the desert remained. Endless dunes rolled like frozen waves, golden by day and silver by night. The Euphrates still moved, slower, older, but faithful, carrying stories in its quiet flow. And above it all, the sky stayed the same. The constellations still shone, and among them, faint but unwavering, was the little star of Babylon. It had watched cities bloom and fade like desert flowers. But what the star loved most were the wanderers, those who carried questions instead of crowns, those who looked up at the sky and wondered. One of them was Lila, a young woman born in a quiet desert village near the ruins of Babylon. She was a dreamer, too curious for the routines of her world, too gentle for the noise of the markets. And always, at the end, she'd point upward and say, "Do you see that faint light, the one that trembles like it's thinking? That's the little star. It fell once, and it learned how to love the earth." Lila grew up believing that story, and on nights when sleep wouldn't come, she would climb the small hill behind her home and whisper to the sky, "Are you still there, little star?" She never expected an answer, until the night she lost her way. It was deep in summer. The air was thick with the scent of dry sage, and the dunes seemed to shimmer under the heat of the day. Lila had gone with a small caravan to deliver supplies to a distant camp. But as the sun dipped behind the hills, a sandstorm rose suddenly, fierce, blinding, alive with wind. The others called out, their voices swallowed by the storm. Lila covered her face with her scarf, trying to see, but the world became a whirl of gold and noise. When at last the storm passed, she found herself alone. The dunes around her were unfamiliar. The caravan was gone. The silence that followed was enormous. She stood there, her heartbeat loud in her ears, the desert stretching endlessly in every direction. Night was falling fast. Lila took a breath and tried not to panic. She had always trusted the stars. Her grandmother had taught her how to find north by Orion's belt. But the sky tonight felt strange. Clouds moved like slow smoke. Only a few stars pierced through. She whispered softly, "Please, show me the way." And then, as if hearing her, a single light flickered through the clouds, faint, golden, trembling. It wasn't high like the others. It seemed closer, almost level with the horizon. Lila blinked, thinking her eyes were playing tricks. But no, it remained, pulsing gently, waiting. She started walking toward it. The sand was cool beneath her feet now, the air carrying a slight chill. Every few steps she looked up to be sure, and the light was still there, patient, guiding. Hours passed like minutes. The desert around her blurred into quiet waves of shadow. The light above brightened once. As if in relief, Lila stumbled to the water's edge and knelt. She drank, then sat back, her heart finally slowing. When she looked up again, she could see the reflection of the little star in the still surface of the pool, a tiny spark resting among the ripples. She smiled weakly. "You really are real," she whispered. For a moment, the air around her seemed to hum very softly, a vibration that felt more like emotion than sound. And though no words came, she felt an understanding pass through her, a calm warmth that said, "You are never truly lost while there is light." Lila stayed at the oasis until dawn. When the first rays of sunlight touched the horizon, she could see a trail of distant footprints, the path of her caravan. The wind had buried them the night before, but the night breeze had uncovered them again, leading her home. I'll remember. She carried the jar with her always after that, tied to her pack by a bit of blue cloth. And every night she'd pour a drop of its water on the sand before sleeping, a small offering to the sky. Back in her village, when people asked how she found her way, she only smiled and said, "The stars taught me to listen." Years passed. Lila grew older, her hair silver like the moonlight she loved. She became a storyteller, one of those gentle souls who gather children around a fire to tell the old tales of Babylon, of the rivers, of the sky. And always her favorite story was about the little star. She told it slowly, with pauses soft enough for the wind to breathe through. Once there was a star who wanted to feel. It fell to earth, and a shepherd taught it love. It rose again to light the sky, and though centuries passed, it still watches over those who are lost. The children would look up then, eyes wide, searching the heavens, and without fail, one of them would point and whisper, "There, that one, it's winking." Lila would smile. "Yes," she'd say, "it always winks when someone remembers." And so, through her words, the story continued, passed like a flame from one heart to another. Long after Lila was gone, travelers still spoke of a faint, golden light that guided them across the sands when all other stars hid behind clouds. Some said it was just a mirage, a trick of heat, but others, those who believed, called it the Little Star of Babylon. And even now, in our time, the story still drifts. Perhaps you've seen it yourself. A tiny, trembling light low on the horizon when the night is clear. Maybe you noticed it once while driving or walking beneath an open sky and felt something gentle stir inside you. That's the same little star. It's never truly gone. It still listens. It still guides. And maybe tonight, it's watching you, not from above, but from within. Because somewhere deep inside, each of us carries a fragment of its glow. The quiet hope that even when we lose our way, something kind and patient will help us find home again. So as you lie there now, warm and safe, take another slow breath. Feel the calm of the desert air in your lungs. Hear the faint rustle of palms, the whisper of the river, the same sounds that lulled Babylon to sleep long ago. Look up in your mind's eye at the soft, dark sky, and there, near the horizon, a small golden star trembles just for you. It flickers once, twice, then steadies, its light soft and sure. It's telling you something, not in words, but in warmth. You have come far. You are not lost. Rest now. Let your breath match its rhythm, in and out. Let the day fade away. Let the night wrap around you like silk. You are part of this story now, part of the great quiet chain of light that began when a little star fell from the sky to learn what love meant. And perhaps when you dream tonight, you'll find yourself walking beside the Euphrates again, the air warm, the stars close, the city of Babylon alive in the distance. You might see a shepherd boy tending his flock, or a young woman standing by an oasis, smiling up at the same golden light. You might even feel it in your chest, that soft glow, that quiet reassurance that says you too are one of the lights that guide others. Because that is what the little star taught us across the ages, that every kindness, every hope, every small act of love is a star reborn. Now close your eyes. Let the world soften. The sands are cool, the water still, and above it all, the sky glows with 1,000 gentle fires. The little star of Babylon shines for you, steady, patient, eternal. Good night, traveler. May your dreams be filled with golden light, and may you wake to find that the star within you still shines. The centuries have turned like pages in a great quiet book. The rivers of the world have changed their paths, and new cities rise where the old ones sleep. But the sky, patient and eternal, still keeps its watch. On a soft summer night, far from the deserts of Mesopotamia, a little boy named Theo sits on the balcony of a small apartment. He lives in a busy European city where the streets hum with cars and distant voices. But above the noise, the stars still manage to shine. Theo's grandmother has come to stay with him for a while. Each night before bed, she tells him stories so he can fall asleep more easily. Sometimes about kings and dragons, sometimes about far-off places she once visited. But tonight, she tells him something older. She begins in a low voice, slow and warm. Long ago, in a city made of stone and light, there was a little star that wanted to feel. It fell to earth and became a friend to a shepherd boy. Theo listens closely. The words settle around him like a soft blanket. Outside, a breeze moves through the open window, bringing the scent of rain on the summer air. He imagines the star glowing softly in the desert, the boy who carried it, the girl who followed its light centuries later. When his grandmother finishes, she kisses his forehead. "Good night, my little one," she whispers. "Remember, even small lights can show the way." After she leaves, Theo stays awake a little longer. He leans on the railing, looking up. The city sky is dim, but one faint golden point flickers just above the horizon. A light so small it might be nothing more than a plane or a reflection. But to Theo, it feels alive. He whispers the way Lila once did. "Are you still there, little star?" For a heartbeat, the light trembles. 1, 2, 3 times, then steadies again. Theo smiles. His eyelids grow heavy, and before he knows it, he's asleep, right there, the cool night air brushing his cheeks. Hours pass. The city quiets. The rain begins to fall, gentle and rhythmic. Through the window, the faint glow of the streetlights mixes with the shimmer of the sky. The little star of Babylon shines between the clouds, its golden light softened by distance but never dimmed. Somewhere inside the boy's dream, the world changes. He's standing in a desert, warm wind on his face, sand under his bare feet. Before him flows a silver river, winding like a thread of moonlight. And beside the water stands a figure, a young shepherd with kind eyes, holding a small lamp that glows from within. The light flickers once, and Theo feels peace spread through his chest like warmth in winter. The shepherd smiles. "You found the way," he says gently. "The light never leaves us, it just waits for someone to remember." Theo nods, and the world fades again into the sound of water. When morning comes, sunlight spills through the curtains. His grandmother finds him still asleep on the balcony, a blanket tucked around his shoulders, his face peaceful. And on the small table beside him lies something she doesn't remember placing there. A little glass marble, smooth and warm, glinting faintly gold in the light. She picks it up and holds it close, smiling. "Ah," she murmurs, "the sky keeps its promises." That day, Theo carries the marble everywhere. He keeps it in his pocket, turning it over in his fingers whenever he feels anxious or sad. It's just glass, perhaps, or perhaps not. Sometimes, when the sun touches it just right, it seems to glow from within. One evening, he brings it to school for show and tell. He stands before the class, small and shy, and says, "This is the little star of Babylon. It fell to earth a long, long time ago, so it could learn to love people. And now it helps people find their way when they're lost." The other children listen, smiling softly. Even the teacher doesn't correct him. For a moment, the whole room feels gentler, lighter. Someone at the back whispers, "I want one too." Theo smiles. "You already have one," he says. "It's inside you." Years later, when he's grown and traveling the world, Theo will stand one night on the deck of a ship crossing the Mediterranean. The sea will be dark, the wind calm. That small golden light near the horizon, flickering as if in greeting. He'll remember his grandmother's voice. He'll remember the old story, and he'll whisper softly, "I remember you." The sea will shine for a heartbeat, and in that quiet glow, every story, every kindness, every gentle act of love that has ever been will seem connected. A chain of lights stretching from the first fires of the ancient world to the warm lamps in homes tonight. Because that's what stories do. They keep the stars burning. They keep the night kind. Now, as you lie here, maybe you can picture that same sky. The deep blue stretching forever, the faint shimmer of constellations, and one small golden star blinking softly near the horizon. It's the same star that guided Amar, that comforted Lila, that answered Theo. It's the same one that's watched over every dreamer who ever looked up and hoped. And now, it watches over you. So take one last slow breath. Feel your heartbeat slow, your thoughts soften. You are safe. The day is done. The night holds you gently, like the desert holds the stars. Maybe as you drift toward sleep, you'll feel a quiet warmth in your chest. The light that never fades, the little star of Babylon shining softly within you. Good night, traveler. May your dreams be golden and kind. May you wake with peace in your heart, and may the little star always find you, wherever you are. The ship that carried Theo across the sea reached a small port before dawn. He stepped onto the pier while the air still smelled of salt and wood smoke. The horizon was pale rose, the first light of day smoothing the wrinkles of the water. He paused for a long moment, holding the little marble up so it caught the sunrise. Inside the glass, the faint gold glow flickered once more. He smiled. "Still with me," he whispered. Around him, the world was waking. Fishermen pulling nets, gulls calling, the soft knock of boats against the dock. Yet none of it felt hurried. Everything moved in the slow rhythm of the tide, the same rhythm that had carried the story through centuries. Theo tucked the marble back into his pocket and began to walk. And so he followed the small country roads, past olive trees and quiet fields, until evening came. When he reached the top of a ridge, he turned to see the sea behind him, glowing with the last light of day. And there, low in the sky, the little star of Babylon blinked its gentle greeting. He sat down on a stone wall, tired but content, and whispered to the wind, "You've been guiding people for so long." Do you ever rest? A soft breeze stirred the grass. The answer wasn't in words, but he understood it anyway. Light doesn't rest. It simply changes form. It lives in the sun, in a candle, in a human heart. Theo reached into his pocket, took out the marble, and placed it on the stone beside him. It glowed faintly as the darkness deepened. He watched it until the world became still, until the sound of insects and the faint hum of night blended into a kind of music. In that quiet, he imagined all the others who had looked up before him. Amar, the shepherd, smiling beside his flock. Lila, by her desert oasis. Children in old cities and new, whispering the same small wish, "Show me the way." And he felt part of something vast and gentle that had no beginning and no end. Back in the city, the night moved differently. Cars glided through rain. lights reflected on wet pavement, windows flickered with the blue glow of screens. And yet, even here, the old stories breathed. In a library corner, a young girl studying astronomy paused to rest her eyes. She noticed a small, unusual point on her star map, one that wasn't marked. A faint golden light, always just at the edge of the chart. She smiled and penciled in a note beside it. The Little Star of Babylon. She didn't know why she chose that name. It simply felt right. Outside, the sky over the city was cloudy, but for a brief moment the clouds parted and a single star shone through, the same one. It blinked once, as if approving the name it had just been given again after thousands of years. And now, as you listen here in the quiet, you can feel how the story has circled back, from the shepherd's lamp to the child's marble to your own soft breath in the dark. Nothing is ever lost. Every bit of warmth, every act of kindness, every story told in a whisper becomes part of the same light. If you listen closely, you might even hear the hum of it. Not a sound exactly, more like a feeling under your ribs. The pulse of something ancient and calm, saying, "You belong to the same sky. You carry the same light." Let that thought rest in you now. Let your shoulders sink into the bed, the weight of the day slipping away. The air is cool. The room is still. Above it all, the night sky stretches out, and somewhere near the horizon, a little golden star watches quietly. It doesn't need anything from you, only your stillness, your breath, the small glow of being alive. That's enough. So breathe again, slow and easy. Feel the warmth that lingers behind your eyelids. That's the story's last gift, the calm that remains after the words fade. The light of Babylon travels on, through the air, through the heart, through every dream that begins with wonder. And now it reaches you. Sleep well, traveler. Dream of soft sand, gentle water, and a star that never stops listening. When you wake, carry its light with you, quietly, kindly. The little star of Babylon, still shining within.